Today, we are counting down 20 weird facts about James Bond's motorcycle chase bikes that will completely blow your mind. From classified manufacturer deals to riders who nearly paid the ultimate price for your entertainment, these revelations dig far deeper than any studio press release has ever admitted. So buckle up, hit that like button if you love spy vehicles, and let's ride into the secrets nobody was supposed to tell you. Number 20. The BMW R1200C was never supposed to be a Bond bike. When BMW signed their deal with Eon Productions for Tomorrow Never Dies. In 1997, motorcycles were nowhere in the original contract. The agreement centered entirely on BMW's new 750iL sedan and the Z3 Roadster. Then a member of the production design team spotted early press photographs of BMW's upcoming R1000 and 200C cruiser during pre-production and immediately flagged it to director Roger Spottiswoode. The bike hadn't been officially released anywhere in the world. No dealership had stock. Not a single paying customer had taken delivery. BMW was barely weeks from its commercial launch when Spottiswoode decided it would anchor the film's pre-title sequence inside a weapons bazaar. The decision transformed a car promotion deal into something far more powerful. BMW essentially used one of the most watched film franchises in history as a global launch vehicle for an entirely new motorcycle category. The R1000 and 200C appeared on cinema screens across more than 100 countries before any customer could legally purchase one. That isn't product placement in the traditional sense. That is using James Bond as a live worldwide advertisement. Dealerships reported immediate waiting lists the week the film opened. Bond had created demand for a bike the public couldn't even physically buy yet. Number 19. The Handcuff chase required completely fake restraints.
65 pounds a week, cut to 30-odd years later, 40 years later.
The single most technically demanding motorcycle stunt in the entire Bond franchise didn't involve a ramp, an explosion, or a rooftop. It involved handcuffs. In Tomorrow Never Dies, Bond and Chinese agent Wai Lin flee captivity while physically restrained together on a single BMW R1000 and 200C. What look like genuine steel handcuffs connecting Michelle Yeoh and Pierce Brosnan across the bike are actually precision-engineered breakaway props, designed by the film's special effects team. Real handcuffs would have made the stunt physically impossible and fatally dangerous. The cuffs had to appear rigid and authentic on camera, while simultaneously allowing both riders controlled freedom of movement. The prop department went through 14 separate prototypes before settling on a final design made from lightweight aluminum alloy coated to match the visual appearance of steel. The connection point was engineered to separate cleanly under specific directional tension, meaning stunt performers could disengage instantly if anything went wrong. Stunt coordinator Vic Armstrong later confirmed the handcuff mechanism was one of the most precisely engineered props his team had ever worked with on any production. Yeoh performed many of her own riding portions in this sequence, making the breakaway engineering even more critical to keeping both performers safe during the repeated takes. Number 18. Triumph spent years lobbying to replace BMW as Bond's bike. Most Bond fans assume Triumph simply walked into a deal with Eon Productions. The reality was far more competitive and took considerably longer than anyone involved likes to admit. After BMW dominated the motorcycle presence in Tomorrow Never Dies, Triumph's marketing team identified the Bond franchise as the single most valuable product placement opportunity in the global motorcycle industry. They began a formal lobbying campaign that stretched across multiple years and several Bond production cycles. Triumph submitted detailed proposals to Eon Productions for both The World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day, including fully customized demonstration bikes built specifically to Bond specifications. Both proposals were reviewed and declined. BMW maintained their commercial relationship with the franchise through those productions. Triumph finally secured their breakthrough with Casino Royale in 2006, but the deal almost collapsed twice during negotiations over image rights and design approval clauses. Triumph wanted final say over how their motorcycles were presented on screen. Eon Productions refused. The compromise reached gave Triumph significant consultation rights without absolute veto power. That deal structure has governed every Triumph Bond appearance since. Ironically, the years of rejection actually benefited Triumph. Each declined proposal forced their marketing team to refine their pitch until it became genuinely impossible for Eon to refuse. Number 17, the Skyfall Scramblers had their engines secretly replaced. The Triumph Scramblers used in Skyfall's celebrated Istanbul rooftop chase looked completely stock from every camera angle. The production design team worked hard to ensure they did. Underneath those standard-looking engine covers, however, sat something considerably different from what Triumph shipped from their Hinckley factory. The production's motorcycle technicians pulled the original engines from the picture bikes and installed heavily modified units built to deliver more consistent throttle response and smoother low-end power delivery under stunt conditions. Standard scrambler engines are tuned for road performance across a wide RPM range. Stunt work demands something different. Riders need instant, predictable torque at low speeds with zero hesitation when accelerating from near standstill across uneven surfaces like market rooftops. The modified engines also featured revised cooling systems to prevent overheating during the multiple repeated takes required for complex sequences. Triumph was fully aware of the modifications and quietly approved them. Publicly, however, they promoted the film bikes as representative of their standard production model. The swap was never disclosed in any official production documentation. It only became known years later when a motorcycle technician mentioned it during a specialist industry podcast interview that almost nobody heard, making this one of the most successfully kept secrets in Bond production history. Number 16, the Grand Bazaar rooftop was partially reconstructed at Pinewood.
The first film created at Pinewood, Talk of the Devil in 1939, was directed by...
Everyone watching Skyfall's opening motorcycle chase through Istanbul's Grand Bazaar assumes the entire sequence was filmed on location in Turkey. It wasn't. The production did spend time in Istanbul capturing establishing shots, background plates, and wide angles that place the scene geographically. But significant portions of the rooftop chase, particularly sections requiring the motorcycles to navigate market stalls at speed, were reconstructed on a soundstage at Pinewood Studios in England. The practical reason was purely about safety certification. The actual Grand Bazaar rooftop is genuinely irregular and unpredictable. Sections of it are structurally unsound in ways that insurance companies and health and safety officers absolutely refuse to approve for motorcycle stunt work at film speed. The production built a version of the rooftop surface that looked identical to the real location, but was engineered to handle the specific stress loads of two motorcycles carrying riders at chase pace. Surface materials were chosen to visually match the original location. While providing predictable traction coefficients, the stunt team had pre-calculated. Director Sam Mendes discussed the Istanbul location work extensively in press interviews, but strategically never specified which sections were filmed where. Decades later, most audiences still believe every rooftop frame was shot authentically in Turkey. Number 15, No Time to Die, featured a Triumph that didn't officially exist. When No Time to Die went into production, Triumph Motorcycles was simultaneously developing a completely new generation of their Tiger 900 adventure bike. The timing created an opportunity neither company could ignore. Eon Productions approached Triumph about featuring the new Tiger 900 in the film's action sequences before the bike had completed its final development cycle and well before any official public announcement had been made. Triumph agreed, recognizing the Bond franchise as the single most effective global launch platform available to any motorcycle manufacturer at that moment. The Tiger 900 bikes appearing in No Time to Die were therefore pre-production prototypes. They were not the final specification machines that dealers would eventually sell to customers. Triumph's engineers were still making minor adjustments to the production specification while simultaneously preparing identical-looking bikes for film use. Several components visible on the screen bikes were quietly revised or replaced in the commercially available Tiger 900 that reached customers afterward. Motorcycle journalists who examined the film bikes after the production wrapped noted subtle differences in switchgear positioning and instrument cluster design. Triumph confirmed these discrepancies were due to the pre-production status of the film units. Bond had, for the second time in franchise history, introduced the world to a motorcycle before the motorcycle was technically finished. Number 14, the stunt rider who stood in for Daniel Craig. More than anyone realizes, Daniel Craig trained extensively for the physical demands of his Bond films and performed a significant amount of his own action work. Motorcycle sequences, however, were an entirely different matter. The primary stunt double for Craig's motorcycle work across multiple productions was a Swiss-born rider named Jean-Pierre Goy, a professional with a background in European motorcycle racing, who had been working in film and television for years before joining the Bond unit. What makes Goy's contribution genuinely extraordinary is the sheer percentage of screen time he occupies in sequences audiences universally assume feature Craig himself. In Skyfall alone, production estimates suggest Goy appears in the motorcycle portions for more than 90% of the actual riding time. Craig filmed the close-up facial reaction shots, the dialogue exchanges involving the bikes, and selected hero moments choreographed specifically for camera proximity. Everything else was Goy. The physical match required for a motorcycle double is less about facial resemblance and more about riding posture, shoulder width, and how a body sits naturally on a specific machine. Goy's dimensions and riding position matched Craig's so precisely that even in relatively open wide shots, the substitution is essentially invisible to ordinary viewers watching at normal speed. Number 13, the For Your Eyes only bike chase was almost entirely cut. For Your Eyes, only from 1981, contains a motorcycle pursuit that most Bond fans consider a minor connective scene. What those fans don't know is that the sequence nearly didn't appear in the finished film at all. During the editing process, director John Glenn and editor John Grover repeatedly identified the motorcycle sequence as the weakest action set piece in the entire production. Test screenings confirmed that audiences found the sequence geographically confusing and considerably less exciting than the film's other action scenes. The studio was genuinely prepared to remove it completely from the final cut. The sequence survived for one specific reason only. Without it, the film's second act had a structural pacing problem that left an uncomfortably long gap between the opening and the subsequent boat chase sequence. The motorcycle scene was therefore retained purely as connective tissue, not because anyone in the production considered it strong filmmaking. Keeping it required re-editing the sequence significantly, removing approximately 4 minutes of expensive footage that had been shot on location. The version appearing in the finished film is therefore a compromised second-best edit of a sequence nobody was truly satisfied with. Knowing this completely reframes what looks like a confident creative decision as a reluctant editorial compromise that happened to work just adequately enough. Number 12. A Rome stunt inspector was performed without standard safety equipment. During Spectre, Bond moves through Rome in a sequence blending car and motorcycle work in ways audiences don't always fully separate. What the production never publicized about the Roman motorcycle sequences was a specific stunt involving a high-speed bridge approach that the second unit stunt team performed without conventional crash barrier protection behind the camera position. The technical constraint was architectural. The actual Roman location used for this section had structures on both sides of the camera that physically prevented placement of standard crash arrest systems within the available space. The stunt coordinator signed off on the sequence only after calculating stopping distances and verifying that the approach geometry made an out-of-control bike statistically unlikely to reach the camera crew. The calculation proved correct. The stunt completed cleanly on the third take, but the absence of standard fallback safety equipment during takes 1 and 2 represented a genuine departure from the protocol governing virtually every comparable modern film stunt. Crew members present on set later described the atmosphere during those first 2 takes as noticeably tense, in a way that experienced second-unit environments rarely are. When the sequence completed successfully, the relief among the assembled crew was reportedly audible across the entire location. The final cut reveals nothing of the anxiety that surrounded its creation. Number 11, the Octopussy sidecar. Combination couldn't be legally registered anywhere. The motorcycle sidecar used in Octopussy's chase through the Indian marketplace presents a fascinating legal footnote in Bond production history. The specific combination assembled for the film was built by the production's engineering team from components sourced across 3 different manufacturers and 2 different countries. As a practical regulatory matter, this combination could not be registered as a road legal vehicle under the applicable rules of either the United Kingdom or India. The frame modifications required to attach the sidecar to the chosen motorcycle violated manufacturer certification requirements in ways that invalidated any possibility of obtaining standard roadworthiness documentation. The production operated the vehicle under a special filming permit, allowing use on closed roads and controlled locations only. Once filming concluded, the assembled combination could not legally be driven on any public road in any standard jurisdiction. It occupied a strange technical limbo, a functioning motorcycle that existed entirely outside any conventional regulatory framework. The production team kept the combination intact after filming specifically because dismantling it was the only way to make the individual components separately road legal again. For several months, it sat in a storage facility as an object that technically had no legitimate status as either a registered vehicle or an ordinary collection of motorcycle parts.
Number 10. The Living Daylights used modus, military bikes that were still classified. The motorcycle sequences in The Living Daylights involved Eastern Bloc, military vehicles sourced through channels that the production deliberately kept vague in all official documentation. Several of the bikes used in the Czechoslovakian chase sequences were genuine Warsaw-packed military motorcycles, specifically variants of the Tzeta and Jawa models used by Soviet-aligned military and police forces during the Cold War period. What made their inclusion genuinely extraordinary was the timing. The film was produced in 1986 and 1987, at a moment when detailed technical information about these specific military variants remained restricted under Cold War security classifications in their countries of origin. The production sourced the bikes through intermediaries in Austria, and the full paper trail of how they moved from military service to a British film production was never fully documented in any official record. Former production personnel have since described the acquisition process as deliberately compartmentalized, with different team members handling different portions of the logistics to ensure no single person held complete knowledge of the procurement chain. Intelligence historians who have reviewed the period have noted that getting functioning Warsaw-packed military vehicles into Western film productions during active Cold War tensions was considerably more complicated than any press material ever acknowledged. Number 9. The Spy Who Loved Me. Prototype bike spontaneously caught fire during filming. The motorcycle used during the Sardinian location, sequences in The Spy Who Loved Me, holds a production secret that was actively suppressed in contemporary press coverage and has never appeared in any official behind-the-scenes documentation. During the second day of location filming near Sardinia's coastal roads, one of the picture bikes experienced an electrical fault that ignited a small but genuine underbody fire while stationary between takes. The incident occurred while the bike was fully fueled and surrounded by film equipment. No one was injured, but the rapid response required to contain the situation consumed nearly 2 hours of an already compressed shooting schedule. The production team repaired the bike overnight and continued filming the following morning. The incident was not reported to any regulatory authority and was managed entirely internally by the production. Director Lewis Gilbert was reportedly furious, not about the fire itself, but about the scheduling impact.
The damaged bike was rebuilt sufficiently to continue filming, but was quietly retired from principal photography after that location block concluded. A replacement was substituted for subsequent sequences. Examining continuity between different sections of the Sardinian chase reveals subtle differences in the bike's minor details that indicate the substitution if you know precisely where to look. Number 8. GoldenEye's tank chase. Almost began on motorcycles. Instead, the sequence most Bond fans know from GoldenEye as a tank rampage through St. Petersburg very nearly started as an extended motorcycle pursuit through the same streets. Early script drafts written by Jeffrey Kane included a motorcycle chase involving Bond on a Russian military bike that would have preceded the tank sequence by several minutes of screen time. Director Martin Campbell was enthusiastic about the concept during initial development discussions. The motorcycle sequence was storyboarded, location scouted, and budgeted before Campbell made the decision that eventually killed it. His concern was tonal. Having both a motorcycle chase and the tank destruction sequence in the same act created what he described as action repetition that would dilute the extraordinary impact of the tank itself. He argued that audiences needed to arrive at the tank sequence without any recent adrenaline competition from a preceding bike chase. The motorcycle section was cut entirely from the production plan before filming began. The storyboards survived in the production archive and were briefly displayed at a Bond exhibition years later, showing a genuinely impressive sequence that audiences never saw. Campbell's instinct proved commercially correct. The tank sequence remains one of the most celebrated action set pieces in the entire franchise. The motorcycle version exists only in paper form. Number 7. The Thunderball era established a rule about bikes and water that lasted decades.
So, you have the main loom, which normally starts up at the front. Your headlight might be attached to the front of that.
During the production period surrounding Thunderball in 1965, the Bond production unit encountered a series of mechanical failures involving motorcycle sequences that were ultimately cut from the film entirely. The failures shared a common cause: Nassau's coastal humidity and repeated exposure to salt air during location preparation destroyed the electrical systems of the bikes being prepared for filming at a rate that the production's mechanical team found genuinely alarming. The experience prompted Eon Productions to establish an internal guideline, not a formal written policy, but a strongly enforced practical custom, that motorcycles would not be used as primary chase vehicles in any sequence set predominantly in or near tropical coastal water environments. This guideline held remarkably consistently across subsequent productions. When you examine the geography of Bond motorcycle sequences across the following 3 decades, they cluster overwhelmingly in urban environments, mountain roads, and arid locations. The correlation is not coincidental. Multiple production designers from the Roger Moore and Timothy Dalton eras have mentioned in separate interviews the informal understanding that motorcycles and marine environments were considered a poor combination by the production unit. Nobody published this rule anywhere. It was simply understood by everyone involved in logistics and planning that certain location types and certain vehicle types would not be paired together. Number 6. A Casino Royale. Stunt rider completed a record-breaking jump without knowing it. During the production of Casino Royale in 2006, the second unit filmed a motorcycle sequence in the Bahamas that required a jump over a specific terrain feature. The stunt was designed, calculated, and approved for a distance that the stunt coordinator considered ambitious but achievable. What nobody realized until reviewing the footage afterward was that the actual distance achieved during the successful take significantly exceeded the planned specification. The rider had launched with more speed than the rehearsal passes indicated he would carry, and the resulting flight distance broke an unofficial internal record for the furthest documented unassisted motorcycle jump, performed on a Bond production without specialist ramp engineering support. The stunt coordinator discovered the actual measured distance when reviewing the take against the location survey data the following morning. The rider himself had not noticed anything unusual during the jump. From inside the stunt, it felt completely controlled. Only the external measurement data revealed how far beyond the planned trajectory the take had actually traveled. The The production filed the jump dimensions in their internal records without publicizing them. No press release mentioned it, no behind-the-scenes documentary covered it. The record existed only in the production archive until a second unit crew member mentioned it during a specialist stunt industry forum several years after the film's release. Number 5. The same motorcycle appeared in 3 consecutive Bond films under different paint.
We looked at standover height, which is the height of the seat and the width of the bike over.
A specific Triumph Bonneville frame with a documented production history passed through 3 consecutive Bond productions under a series of cosmetic modifications so thorough that nobody watching the films in sequence would ever identify it as the same machine. The bike was originally prepared for Casino Royale, where it appeared in background and secondary sequences. Rather than decommissioning it after filming, the production's transport department retained it in storage. For Quantum of Solace, the same frame was stripped, resprayed in a different color, and fitted with revised bodywork panels before appearing in additional background work. By the time Skyfall entered production, the bike had been modified again, with entirely different visual treatment, different seating, and updated period-appropriate accessories. The frame number, stamped into the metal, remained the same across all 3 appearances. A Triumph Mark historian, who examined the bikes as part of a manufacturer archive project, in the years following Skyfall made the identification by cross-referencing production inventory records from all 3 films against the physical frame documentation. The discovery confirmed that Eon Productions operated a remarkably efficient vehicle recycling program that extended well beyond what the public or the press had ever appreciated. The Bonneville had essentially been 3 different motorcycles across 3 separate films while physically remaining 1. Number 4. The Moroccan sequences in the Living Daylights needed entirely different tire compounds. The motorcycle preparation for the Living Daylights location work in Morocco uncovered a problem that the production's transport team had never encountered on any previous Bond production. The combination of surface temperatures on Moroccan roads during the filming period and the specific tire compounds approved for use under the production's European safety certification created a grip deficit that the stunt team identified as genuinely dangerous during initial test runs. Standard European motorcycle tires operating at peak performance on British or European tarmac behave fundamentally differently on Moroccan road surfaces baking under summer temperatures. The contact patch deformed in ways the stunt riders could feel immediately and found deeply unsettling at chase speeds. The production had to source an entirely different tire compound, appropriate for North African road temperatures, that still met the minimum safety specifications the production's insurance underwriters required. The approved European compound was retained on the bikes for any close-up camera work where tire sidewalls would be visible, purely for continuity purposes. The alternative compound went on whenever actual speed was required. The logistical challenge of maintaining 2 separate sets of tires across multiple location vehicles without creating visible continuity problems between close-up and wide shots required a level of production management sophistication that the transport coordinator later described as among the most demanding of his entire career. Number 3. A fully functional ejector seat was engineered into a Bond stunt bike and never used. During the development phase of the Tomorrow Never Dies stunt program, the production's special effects department built a fully operational ejector mechanism into one of the BMW Roan 1000 and 200C stunt bikes intended for the pre-title Bazaar sequence. The concept was ambitious. The effects team believed they could create a sequence in which the bike's rider was explosively launched from the machine at the precise moment of a calculated impact, creating a visual moment unlike anything previously achieved in motorcycle stunt filming. The ejector mechanism was engineered over several months and tested successfully on a static rig before being installed into the working bike. Test firings confirmed it could launch a rider dummy cleanly and safely within acceptable parameters. The sequence that would have used it was storyboarded, approved in principle, and scheduled for filming. It was abandoned during the final pre-production safety review when the stunt coordinator calculated that achieving the specific approach geometry required to make the ejection look credible on camera would demand the stunt rider to approach the trigger point at a speed the combined system could not safely accommodate. The ejector bike was decommissioned. The mechanism was removed. The entire project cost tens of thousands of pounds and produced no usable footage. The sequence was replaced with a more conventional crash arrangement. The ejector mechanism itself was apparently kept, its current location unknown. Number 2. The No Time to Die production built a motorbike, specifically to destroy. For No Time to Die's action sequences set in the fictional Cuban and Italian locations, the production's transport and special effects departments jointly engineered a motorcycle built entirely and deliberately with destruction as its sole purpose. This wasn't a picture bike prepared for cosmetic damage and repaired between takes. This was a ground-up fabrication project that began with the knowledge that the finished machine would be comprehensively destroyed during filming and would never be ridden again afterward. The frame was built from materials chosen for predictable failure characteristics rather than strength. The fuel system was redesigned to eliminate fire risk entirely without visually altering the bike's external appearance. Internal components were replaced with lighter, non-functional substitutes that would collapse in cinematically interesting ways when the destruction sequence was filmed. The entire build took 11 weeks and cost approximately the same as a high-specification production Triumph. The team responsible had constructed destruction vehicles for previous productions, but described this particular project as uniquely challenging because the bike needed to appear completely normal and fully functional in multiple filmed sequences before its destruction. It appears in several minutes of screen time looking entirely authentic before the sequence requiring its demolition. Everything you see performing flawlessly in those earlier shots was, structurally speaking, already a carefully engineered ruin waiting to happen. Number 1. The actual record for the most bikes destroyed across the franchise belongs to one film. Across more than 6 decades of Bond productions, one film holds the uncontested internal record for the number of motorcycles destroyed, damaged beyond repair, or decommissioned as a direct result of a single production stunt program. That film is Tomorrow Never Dies. The total number confirmed through production insurance records and transport department logs reached 37 individual machines across principal photography, second unit work, and reshoots combined. This figure includes outright destruction during filmed sequences, mechanical failures during rehearsal passes that rendered bikes unrestorable, bikes damaged in non-filmed incidents during location transportation, and machines deliberately stripped for parts to keep other bikes operational. The BMW Roan 1200C was the primary casualty, but the total incorporated multiple supporting makes and models used in secondary sequences. BMW was contractually informed of the running destruction total throughout the production, but never disclosed it publicly because the number undermined the carefully managed image of their motorcycle as robust and reliable. The figure only became verifiable years later when a production accountant included it in a memoir about the economics of large-scale action filmmaking. The previous record holder had been The Spy Who Loved Me at 19 machines. Tomorrow Never Dies nearly doubled it. Every Bond motorcycle chase you have ever watched came at a significantly higher cost in hardware than any studio publicity has ever acknowledged, and there you have it. 20 genuinely weird facts about the motorcycles powering the most thrilling chase sequences in spy cinema history. From bikes that technically didn't exist, to destruction records nobody was supposed to count, Bond's two-wheeled secrets run as deep as any classified dossier. If your mind is blown, share this with a fellow 007 fan.